James Harden is on his way to join forces with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn to form the latest NBA super team. Social media exploded after the news broke, including reactions ranging from shock to anger, as well as people questioning how this team of superstars could actually work together. So, Shannon, will these Nets be the biggest villains in NBA history?
Nothing will ever come close to what LeBron and the Big Three faced in Miami. Although none of those guys forced their way out, Skip, everybody played hard to the very end of their contracts. Nobody. Because I think it was a lot of it had to do with the decision. A lot of it didn't like once they got there, the theatrics, the not one, not two, not three. So there are a lot of things that played a role in the Skip, but it is my belief that no team will be a bigger villain than what we saw with the Big Three Heat. These guys, yeah, I'm sure there'll be some, but not like what the Big Three Heat faced.
Shannon, this team is about to eclipse that team.
No.
Villainy.
No way.
Hey, Kevin Durant is at war with the media. Kyrie called the media, dismissed them as pawns.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the media. We're talking about the fans. Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden on their best day. No, let me take that back. On their worst day, on their most vilified day, can't touch GOAT James and the vitriol that he faced.
Okay, but James Harden just forced and ate his way out of Houston. Forced his way into Brooklyn to join forces with a guy, Kevin Durant, who is the thinnest skinned superstar we've ever seen in this sport. He has burner accounts. He once told the media, you guys don't know bleep about basketball, after those same guys had just voted him the MVP.
Skip, but that's the media. I'm talking about the fans, the vitriol.
Kyrie turned on LeBron, despised LeBron, and forced his way out of Cleveland to Boston, where he quickly threw the whole team under the bus, went to Brooklyn and threw that team under the bus.
In the process of LeBron and Kyrie forcing his way out there, you blame LeBron James because you said it was his behavior.
I kept telling you what Kyrie thought. He thought LeBron was more concerned with stats than with winning games.
Skip, there's no way. Now, when they show the fans and they burning down James Harden stuff, then we can talk. But what
I would think they wanted to last night. You don't think so?
Maybe they wanted to, Skip, but I don't believe that we'll ever see. It's kind of like we're never going to see the celebrity like what we saw with the Dream Team, Skip, or what we see with Michael Jordan in that last couple of years, the fanfare and how it was like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. It was like a rock concert wherever they showed up. We're never going to see that again. We're never going to see the vitriol.
How quickly did the fans get over that vitriol aimed at LeBron because he paired up with Dwayne Wade, who was beloved by everyone?
Skip, that first year, do you remember what it was like?
Yeah.
Skip, LeBron James still, he's the most beloved and he's still the most hated.
The most hated?
He's the most hated.
He is by far the most beloved star in the history of the sport.
And still one of the most hated.
Well, that would be Michael Jeffrey Jordan in Chicago.
Jordan, stop it. You ought to stop. Now, you know good and well, everybody loves Jordan. They found no fault. Jordan scored 6 points. Man, that was because you know what happened? The ball was cold. They were playing with a bowling ball. You couldn't have scored no way.
What about those 7 billion blind witnesses out there who hate Jordan because they love LeBron to a fault?
They don't hate. The two things can be true, Skip. We can appreciate greatness while disagreeing that the other guy's not as great. That's not hate. That's facts.
Okay, well, Harden has stolen the show today, but we're going to end with a little LeBron. Has LeBron perfected his long-range game to keep his Lakers on top? You might be surprised by what his coach had to say next. Has now made the Nets the Eastern Conference favorites, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook, but are still behind the Lakers as favorites to win it all. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is joining us. Chris, good morning. What a wild last 24 hours. I want to start with you here. Should the Nets be the favorites, or will they be failures?
Well, I'm not going to say they'll be failures, but they aren't the favorites. There's no way I'm making them the favorites. Failure would be not to get to the NBA Finals. And I will give you that they can be the best team in the East. And some of that's because everybody else in the East has question marks. Milwaukee, we've seen them struggle in the playoffs. Philadelphia has a point guard that won't shoot the basketball. Miami's just not that talented. Boston is young. Kemba Walker's got knee issues. So everybody out there is flawed. So, yeah, I can make them the favorites in the East. But basketball is a team sport, and chemistry is important. And we have seen before in the past that you can't just throw a bunch of talent and a bunch of superstars together and it's automatically going to get you a championship or even to the finals. Remember Shaq, Kobe, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone?
Yep.
I get that Malone and Payton were a little older, but the year before they went to the Lakers, they put up all-star numbers. Their problem was chemistry. Remember Olajuwon, Barkley, Clyde Drexler, and then Pippen in for Drexler later on? Those teams, those guys still could play, but it didn't work chemistry-wise. And this, what is in Brooklyn, is the greatest chemistry experiment I have ever seen in my 26 years of covering the NBA. You would be a fool to write them off completely. You got to give them a puncher's chance because of all of that firepower. But I am not putting them ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers, who right now look like they're head and shoulders above everybody else in the league. They got 3 issues in Brooklyn. 1, style of play. 2, ball-dominant guards that over-dribble, and want to be the man. The second thing is egos and personalities. With Kyrie, there's the unknown. Is he even coming back? We have no idea. What type of headspace is he going to be in when he comes back? And then there's the known. We know he left a championship team in Cleveland because he wanted to be the man. He woke up this morning, maybe he was on a political call last night or something. He woke up this morning and he's the 3rd best player on the team all of a sudden. Is he going to be happy with that? Yeah. So you got those issues. And then thirdly, defense. You don't have to be, a tremendous defense, but you got to pay attention to the defensive end. And they've got 3 stars who aren't defensive-minded and coaches that aren't defensive-minded. So all those question marks lead me to still go with the Lakers. Who's guarding AD? Who's stopping LeBron? So I'll give you the East, but you ain't beating the Lakers.
Go.
No, I want to go. I want to sit over here and gloat some more.
So, Chris Broussard, I believe that the Brooklyn Nets, unbelievably, not the old New Jersey Nets became the Brooklyn Nets. And because they just signed out of the blue Kyrie and KD, and then they outbid the 76ers for James Harden, that they just won this year's championship and or next year's championship because that window is open. I give you chemistry experiment. But to me, if you blend the best player on the planet, the most efficient scorer of the basketball I have ever seen in Kevin Durant, a 2-time back-to-back finals MVP, an alpha who shocked me by how he took over the Golden State Warriors and led them to back-to-back championships. And you add a man who's a 2-guard by trade, who is James Harden, who is simply the most revolutionary perimeter scorer we have ever seen. A man who also led the league in assists and who also last year led the league in steals and who is a very underrated, disruptive defensive player who was 6th last year in deflections and 3rd in loose ball recoveries because he played his tail off on defense and he reduced his usage rate from 41% all the way down to 35%. That's a big drop just for his buddy Russell Westbrook. If he sacrificed that for Russell, he'll sacrifice this for Kyrie. Kyrie is simply a point guard, a clutch shooting point guard with the greatest handles I have ever seen, even beyond Allen Iverson. I'd have to go back to Curly Neal of the Globetrotters to find handles like these.
Isaiah had handles.
Okay? I know, but not like Kyrie.
No, but...
Okay, listen.
Kyrie.
What's that?
I give you Kyrie.
Yeah, Kyrie got the best, yeah.
Okay.
I give you Kyrie. I think he's the best ball handler ever.
So you have a 1, a point guard. You have a 2 in James, and I get you. He can be ball dominant, but I don't think he'll be nearly with this group. And you have a Kevin Durant who doesn't need to touch the basketball that much to score 30 a game. He can get you 30 on 12 shots.
He might not touch it that much with those other 2 guys.
Okay. And Chris, I thought this team would be gutted by this trade. And then I sit back and say, wait a second. They still have Joe Harris, the NBA's three-point shooting championship, champion from a couple of years ago. And you kept TLC and Bruce Brown. And I can go right down. Jeff Green is there. I like this team. And I didn't mention DeAndre Jordan, who just 3 and 4 years ago was first team all defense. He's only 32. You can't tell me he's washed up at 32.
Yeah, but that's a 32 for a big man. I mean, come on.
Okay, well, come on. Well, Kareem played till he was 40.
Man, stop it.
Well, he did. Okay, so I love the chances of this team. And as you say, it depends on Kyrie's head. I'm not sure where it's at, but I'm saying that James Harden will be a Hall of Fame insurance policy. But beyond that, he'll be a catalyst and a motivator to get Kyrie back in the fold and back re-engaged to play basketball at the highest level.